So basically, I'm backtracking to try to figure out something that you told me to do in the gold course. Just hopefully your listeners here use me as the example of what not to do here.
You turn the whole house into bedrooms and you rent by the room. Anything like that is going to be, successful.
Number one, the one we're talking about today is what, Kim?
Senior housing.
Traditional real estate investing is dead. Robert Kiyosaki and Ken McElroy think this is the solution.
The number one investment in real estate.
Be sure to watch until the end to uncover just how lucrative this housing solution can be.
The people that are self-pay, and for the listeners, by self-pay we mean, it's not a voucher or there's not an organization paying for them. How many of those are any of those people are on SSI or SSDI?
In my self-paying people, most
Yes.
of them, I think every single one of them right now is on every side.
This is what we, tell our coaching clients and people like that, or anybody that acquires. It is totally up to you. You could let them, pay and assume they're going to pay you on the first of the month. That's fine. But what we recommend is you require them to go through an approved representative payee, which we don't need to break it down, today. We don't need to get into the weeds, but that's how we typically recommend folks to get set up. So sounds like you haven't had any issues with that yet, but you're just extrapolating into the future, imagining 40 people like that are on limited income, and, you just end up becoming another stressed out landlord.
Exactly. That is not what I want to do. And the best way that I can help people is knowing without worry that money's coming in. Because then the whole focus of my mind can be somewhere else. It can be on making this thing better, making sure that I have the team around me to help these people out with, I don't go overboard, but help them out with anything that they need, like immediately making sure that something gets fixed instead of letting it sit for, if somebody says the shower is broken, I don't want to go 3 weeks later and go check it out. I'd love to get right over there immediately. But you have to make sure the money's there and you're not constantly worried about the money, before you can easily just take care of those problems during the day, make the right calls and all that.
Probably a lot of the social service organizations that are on your list might offer that service. This one looks like one. So for the video listeners, I just did it live. Just looked up representative payee in Pennsylvania, and this looks like an organization that offers that service. So, when you are scaling, when you do get these folks that are on SSI and they want to move in, that's what we do. Okay, great. We require you to go through an approved representative payee. Here's Roads to Freedom. Here's their number. Here's their email. And that's
Okay.
It says that in the license agreement, it breaks that down too.
Well, if you want, then that's another thing that I struggle with. I mean, at what point do you tell these people that they need to go through a rep payee?
ASAP. Once you have enough people that are on your list and your properties are full, why are you even, this is me talking, this is the way that we kind of advise everyone. If your marketing is good enough, you don't need to take any self-pay people. Now, that assumes that you're going after the demographic that I've always gone after. But remember, you can take the gold course and you can kind of customize it to whatever you want to do. So like, for example, this morning we were on a coaching call, an early morning coaching call with a guy that does this down in Arizona. He's tweaked it a little bit. And what he does, he goes after the student housing people down near in Tempe, Arizona. He's buying $600,000 homes. Right? $600,000 homes, $150,000 down, and that's the route that he's going. So he's not going out to kind of like a more working class grade within Phoenix. He's doing like higher, more upskill stuff, but he's still following all the same rules and techniques that we teach in the gold course and, kind of coaching. But none of his people are going to have rep payees, but in some respects they kind of do because they're 18, 19, 20-year-old people. And who's guaranteeing the rent? Mommy and dad.
Yep. Okay. Well, that makes sense. That's good. I mean, so, Yeah, that because that's going to be a learning process for me. I did take the gold course and try to kind of mold it, the principles into what I wanted to do, but I know now that I want to go back to what you taught and really just use the rep payee. So I'm in the process of starting to say, okay, at what point do I tell them? Do I wait? Do I do it when I show them? Do I make sure they know before they ever come see it? Like you said, as soon as possible. So
And Matt, if I may, one of the reasons why I'm a big advocate of this is because eventually we want to take all of our students from cradle to grave, where cradle is, hey, let's just go out and rent a property, put people in there, and like build up your business acumen. Okay. So starting off, that's what we want them doing. We don't want them having to, be tough guys going out, management, trying to collect in C grade neighborhoods, right? It's a lot easier if these people are, when I say these people, I'm talking about clients, are collecting. They don't really have to collect if they're just working with people that have got rep payees. So that's kind of step number one. And then step number two, we want to help them basically graduate up to your level. Your level is the real estate ownership level, right? And the reason we want them doing that is so they can not only have the equity that they're building in their group home business, but also the equity in the real estate. And then the reason why we tell them, hey, focus on these C grade areas is because if you go from like really shitty to less shitty, you're going to make a lot more money than if you go from like nice to like a little bit more nice, right? Buying a little house for $100,000 that could easily go to $300,000, you're going to make $200,000 and you're cash flowing the whole time. Versus buying a house that goes from $300,000 to like $450,000 it's a little bit more difficult on your pocketbook. And so anyways, but when you're dealing with that more like C grade element, you've got to have, without question, you got to have your people have rep payees.
okay.
We have the licensee agreement pulled up from the gold course. And for listeners, viewers, what this is it's basically the house rules and legalese. And Matt, just the standard template, it'll say something in there that you're required to go through an approved rep payee. And then there's a section where you can list that if you want. So Andy, we don't have to do like typical role play or whatever, but what would you do or your operational managers do if, let's say, you're talking to the potential guest and they're on SSI and you're going over the house rules with them? One, when do you do that? And two, what would you do or your operational managers do if they say, oh, I don't really want to do that. I don't really want to go through the rep payee. It's a hassle.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, you're going to have to go find a rental somewhere else. I mean, we go over all this in the gold course. There are techniques and strategies for marketing. There's techniques and strategies for selling. One of the techniques and strategies when you're selling, especially to this demographic, is something where you basically say, sorry, sir, sorry, ma'am, you're not going to be able to do that. That's not the way that we operate. And you're kind of taking the opportunity away from them. You're just being honest more than anything else. But it is a strategy and it's a technique because most of these people at that point are going to realize, holy Toledo, Andy's property is the only one out there that is going to accept me, that is going to take me. All I need to do is go talk to the Salvation Army or one of these rep payee companies and give them access to my money. These are large corporations, large nonprofits. They're not going to do anything illicit. They're just going to help me better manage my money so that Andy or Matt or whomever the client is or group homeowner is knows that they're going to get paid. It's a very, very, very reasonable request.
Yeah, and I'll do it when I was kind of more boots on the ground and actually interacting with them, like interacting with leads, Matt. I would just bring it up basically on the first inquiry, like, hey, just want to be up front. This is a co-living situation. There are house rules that you need to adhere to. For example, we have a curfew of 10 p.m., 11 p.m., whatever it is. You have to clean up after yourself. No drugs or alcohol. We accept vouchers or funding from nonprofits or folks who are set up with a rep payee. Wherever you work that into what your process is, your typical intake process. But I would do it right from the beginning, letting them know just the basics, shared housing, what you inquired about is for a roommate situation. Here's an example of the types of rules. And then handle the rent payee the same as you would if someone says, oh, you know what? I like to stay up late and drink and smoke weed. What are
Right.
you gonna do to somebody like that?
We're not a fit for you.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of that simple. And if they do go back and forth with it, then why you think to yourself, why would they really be hesitant to get set up for a guaranteed check? They're almost like giving themselves an out if they, well, if I have a bad month, I want to be able to bounce. That's really the only thing it comes down to, right? So
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, and this is really good information that I'm getting here, because I do agree, I guess, that it starts with the marketing. And if I had, from the very beginning started this, I would have already been where I am. So basically I'm backtracking to try to figure out something that you told me to do in the gold course from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Which is, it's good. I mean, just hopefully your listeners here use me as the example of what not to do here, and say, I'm just going to get out, start making all the calls, because if you've got a waiting list of 40 people for a house of 10, it's going to be easier to say, hey, we only take people who are willing to either sign up with a rep payee or you're funded by some other means.
Want to learn more about the future real estate? Sign up for your free training material at www.grouphomeriches.com.